Hey guys, so today is the episode 2 of the Unmasking Shame series. So today is all about the implications of wearing a mask. So what I want to do is I want to break down basically the negative impact that the mask has on your life and what you're going to start to notice when you start to peel the mask off. That's what I want to break down for you today. So first off, what I want to do is I want to just paint the picture of my motivation behind doing this work, because I think this is going to give you guys a clear understanding of why I'm so passionate about this and why I talk so much about taking the mask off, because this is something that I've done in my life, and this is something that has had a profound impact on everything, really. But the biggest things is my ability to share intimacy and meaningful connection and authenticity with other people through vulnerability. So until you can learn how to do this, it's going to be very, very challenging for people to find love, to find authentic connection, whether it's platonic or romantic and intimate. It makes it very, very tough because you're not showing up in who you are. You're showing up in who your mask wants to be perceived as. And that can be very misleading for people when you're dating or when you're looking for friends or whatever that might be, okay? So my motivation behind doing this work is a little bit selfish in a way, because you know what, I want to help transform the community so I can have more options of who I get to choose from as far as a dating pool, because I find with people that haven't done this work, it's very challenging because they don't know how to show up. When they know how to show up in their mask, and usually in the honeymoon phases of dating, it's actually very, very nice. It's a really nice connection. But then as soon as there's opportunity to bring forth who you really are, it's very scary, and then people end up basically shutting down or becoming avoidant or turning away from the relationship or whatever it might be, and it can be very painful for both people. So that's my motivation. Okay, my motivation is to bring more capacity in the gay community for people to have meaningful connection, know how to have intimacy and connection, and be vulnerable. Okay, so one of the most important things to understand about wearing a mask and emotional suppression or repression is that it's not selective, okay? You don't get to choose what you cover up with your mask. If you're wearing a mask, you're covering up everything. And if you're repressing emotions, you're repressing everything. You're not allowing yourself to experience emotions and vulnerability on its deepest level. So if you're repressing fear, jealousy, any of those sorts of things, you're going to be also repressing your capacity for love and joy. So that Brene Brown has a really, really awesome body of research that she's been working on for like a couple decades now, and she's one of the people that I've followed in my work, and I incorporate her work into my work a lot. So if you haven't, I definitely recommend looking into Brene Brown's work around shame and vulnerability and those sorts of things, because it's very, very neat work. So that's going to be the biggest thing to understand, is when we're doing shame work, you have to understand that you're inhibiting yourself from having all of these things that you desire in your life, which may be to find love. I think that's one of the biggest ones, and I want to draw in on that one, because a lot of gay men, I hear it a lot in my coaching, I hear it a lot in just with my friendships, a lot of gay men want love. And some of them want different styles of love, and that's completely okay, whether it be monogamy or open relations, whatever. But a lot of men want love. They want to find that person or people that they connect with and are able to have meaningful connection with, and they don't understand why they can't get this, and why it keeps coming to them in the form of people not being able to show up for them. Because you're not able to show up for others, you're not able to show up for yourself, so you're attracting what you are. That's the biggest implication of wearing a mask that you need to understand, is you're going to attract back what you're putting out into the world. So if you don't have a capacity to be vulnerable and show up, then you're going to attract those same people back to you, right? Because the universe isn't going to send you somebody who's open and open-hearted and ready to have this with you if you're not ready to have that with them. So otherwise it becomes very, very painful, right? And as you start to do this work, you're almost sending a little bit of a mixed message to the universe, because it's like your mask is half peeled off over here and then half on over here. You start to attract some of these people. It becomes very confusing, right? And this was one of the hardest parts of the transformation for me, is that space between. where I was making the transformation, where I was attracting men into my life that some of them had the capacity to go there, some of them didn't, and then I was really confused on what I was putting out because I peeled my mask off really slowly and didn't just rip it off like a band-aid, you know what I mean? So definitely something to understand. The irony of the mask. Okay, so this is interesting because a lot of times people think that the mask is got some sort of benefit to them, right? That it's protecting us from something. But when we put out into the world that we feel like there's something to protect us from, we're coming at it from fear, right? So the simple idea of that we have to wear a mask in the first place tells us that there's something to be ashamed about, right? So it's the mask is protecting the ego self, but it's betraying the authentic self. That's what we need to understand, okay? So if we want to step into our authentic self, we need to understand that because we need to know that the ego feels like there's something to protect because it's driven from fear. Our authentic self is driven from our heart, which is driven by love, right? So if we can start to just draw ourselves back into this space where we're motivated by love, that's when we're going to start to realize that it's okay to let our mask off, because we're not living in this place of fear where shame is breeding, right? So that's going to be very pivotal in making this transformation, is making sure that you're driving yourself from a place of love. And how do we do that? How do we move from fear into love? Is in the present moment. So you'll notice in the work that I do in my coaching and everything that I talk about in my posts and my content is always about returning to the present moment. So I write this whole post, and then at the very bottom it's like, find stillness, get into the present moment, because that's where the transformation occurs. Anything other than the present moment is past and future. That's where fear and shame live. Okay, if you drop into the present moment, shame and fear literally stop. The momentum of shame and fear stops, and you enter love immediately. Okay. This is where transformation takes place. This is the refuge from the suffering of the human mind, is in the present moment. So I'm always going to bring you back throughout the course of this work to the present moment, because that's where this is going to happen. Okay. Last point I want to make about this work. Okay. So taking off your mask is going to allow you to step into the confidence to which you've always wanted to step into. So what I noticed with a lot of gay men, including myself, is that I had this false sense of confidence. I had a confidence in my persona, okay? And it wasn't until I let my persona go that I was able to step into my authentic confidence. So there's two types of confidence. There's persona confidence and there's authentic confidence. And a lot of gay men are pretty fragile in their confidence, with putting out posts on social media with their abs and all this and all that. And I'm not judging. I've been there. I've posted those pictures. I get it. Okay. So this is not judgment. It's just observation. So when we have this false sense of confidence, we need external validation to tell us that we're okay, because we're being validated based off of our mask. We're being validated based off of something that isn't actually us. Okay. You're going to hit a point where that becomes not enough, because you're always, it's like, you just feel like you're a fraud. That's what I felt like. I felt like I was a fraud because I was getting confidence, I was getting validation in things that weren't me. So as soon as I took my mask off, I was able to start to develop authentic confidence in who I actually was, right? So, and that's why now I'm at this place in my life where what I put forward is vulnerability. It's me, it's who I am. I don't need to be posting half-naked pictures anymore, because I don't need to get my validation and reassurance in who I am from that, okay? So the gay community is definitely inundated with that, and I see it all the time. And one of the reasons why I also didn't get into doing this work sooner is because I was triggered by that. I was triggered by all of these little nuances that the gay community had that I was doing, but I wasn't able to accept that about myself. So as soon as I started to peel the mask off, I started to notice this cultivation of a worth that I had never had before. So it was a cultivation in my inner body, my inner mat of who I actually am. The energy that's bringing out these words and this passion right now, that's what I want to develop confidence in, not my outer shell, which is, having abs or having a nice smile or any of those sorts of things, because it's, at the end of the day, that doesn't really give you confidence. It just gives you, maybe it gives you a bit of confidence, but it doesn't give you self-love. That's the discernment I want to make here, is if we want to develop true self-acceptance, self-worth, and self-love, it comes from within. It does never, ever, ever going to come from without. So we want to make sure that that we're finding ways to bring forth ourself in authenticity, allow ourselves to show up and be seen, because then when we get validated for that, it feels so nice, and it's this yeah, it's just there's a depth there that's really beautiful to cultivate. So okay, so that's really the implications of wearing the mask. So, and then moving into you know, each mask, that's what I'm going to be talking about this coming week. Is we're going to be breaking down. I've come up with 8 masks, I believe, that I'm going to be talking about, and identifying them in yourself and in others, and how to make sure that you don't get triggered by that, because if you're triggered, it's going to be recognition of something that's going on in your inner process. And then we're going to break through a little bit of how to start to move away from that mask and step into your authenticity. So I'm super excited to post out these videos. Unmasking shame, that's what this is all about. So yeah, let me know implications for you in the comments below. Let me know, what have you been struggling with as far as your own mask? What has your own mask prevented you from experiencing in your life? What value does your mask bring you? Like, just shoot me some comments below, because I want to get the conversation started, because I know that a lot of this is really about bringing forth our shame out of secrecy and into the world, into outside of ourselves, because that's where the healing is going to take place. Sending you guys lots of love. Bye-bye.